večer. Časopis Time Magazine zařadil našeho dnešního hosta mezi 100 nejvlivnějších lidí této planety. Asi byste si řekli, to bude politik nebo bude to businessman. Nikoli, je to pianista. Je to čínský pianista a vliv má, protože díky němu začalo v Číně hrát na klavír 40 milionů čínských dětí. Tento jev už má také svůj název, říká se mu Lang-Lang efekt. Naším dnešním hostem je jeden z nejlepších pianistů této planety, Lang-Lang. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for coming to our program.
Thank you.
I was impressed when I saw you rehearsing. I think I have never seen a pianist who would be so relaxed. Have you been all the time like that, or is it the result of hard training?
I mean, in such a beautiful room, it just makes you so comfortable when you make music. And for me, you know, since we perform a lot all the time, and you need to be relaxed, otherwise you probably will have a heart attack.
That's very true. If I think about some of your performances in front of millions of TV spectators, you never have stage fright?
So far not.
So far not.
So far so good. But sometimes if I play the first time a new repertoire, new piece, I get a little bit nervous, but not much, just a little bit. But once you play the piece you already know, it's totally fine.
But you look like if your head would not be a part of your body, and it's just listening to the body, which is the part of the piano. You see, just to have fun, and someone, it's almost not you, is playing.
Once we rehearse, you need to be like a listener.
Yeah.
Of course, you should get involved, but you also need to, listen very careful to make sure the sound and your thoughts are together.
Yes.
Sometimes if you get really hot in your brain, you have great fantasies, but it doesn't sound right.
That's very true. Some piano players get so concentrated that they almost forget about the audience. But with you, I have the feeling that you like to communicate with the audience, is it?
I mean, obviously, when I perform on stage, I mean, the stage is, it's actually, the lighting is pretty focused, so you don't actually really see the audience.
That's right.
But obviously, But
you feel that.
You feel the energy. You feel the breathing. You feel the tension. Because the eyes contact. But when I perform, I don't really trying to show. Hey, look, listen to me. You can't do that. But you should be yourself. But you should be aware of one of the audiences are actually listening. So you should share your feelings through music.
And you have to be the servant of music.
I think a nicer will be a messenger.
Messenger.
Yeah, I would say it's a more, in a way, it's a more, I would say, I think messenger are closer to the music. Obviously, we're always serving, but messenger, I think that, it's more like an ambassador. And I think everyone should feel that when they perform. It's more
polite, definitely.
Yeah.
You started to play at the age of 3.
Yeah.
Is it still possible to recall the first encounter with the instrument?
Yeah, I was deeply impressed by the Tom and Jerry cartoon. And they were doing this, And I knew the tunes.
That's a good beginning for a classical maestro.
But I didn't know who Liszt was.
I
was so little.
Yes.
But I know who Tom is and who Jerry is. So I just start following their music.
So how many hours did you practice daily when you were a kid?
When I was a kid. In the beginning, very little.
Very little.
But then when I turned 6, I start practice like 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
And when I turned teenager, like 7, 8 hours.
Yeah.
Because you need to learn the repertoire and you need to always have the discipline to learn new things, and there's no other way to escape.
Well, it's also a kind of art to know how to practice.
But once you're a kid, you do actually need to have the hours, because the basic training you can't do it without just hours of practice, like the scales, you know, the etudes, and those are really, you can't do anything about it. You need to find a way to train your, you know, your technique.
That's the sad part.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not so sad, you know.
No?
It's exciting. It's exciting.
Even the scales can be exciting.
It can be, because it's challenging. And you know, when you play different keys, of course, it's not always exciting.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, when you play well, when you play really even,
Yes.
It's kind of interesting because you do C major and then you go D major and then you go the minors, natural minors, and so it's actually, you know, when you start running, it's fun. But when you start playing really slow, it's no fun. You know, the basic position of the hands, that's no fun. But musically, you do. This is like what you said. Not always, you know, you practice more hours. That's not all about how to make music. And then sometimes you need to learn something else. Maybe go to a museum to see the paintings, to see a sculpture, and to see a nice movie to get inspired and do something. You know, that helps actually. Read a book.
Are there any Chinese etudes? I haven't never heard a Chinese piano etude. Is there something like that?
Something, but I never really played because for my basic training was the Czerny etudes.
Czerny etude.
Czerny etudes.
Oh, I see. Everyone plays the same.
Yeah, same. Yeah. That's basic piano studies, basic things. Yeah.
Do you still remember some of them?
Yeah, something like, you know, this one.
Well, I guess you have a lot of fun nowadays. You trained enough, and now you just have fun.
Not all. I mean, sometimes, but sometimes when you play really deep, slow, you know, really largo or you know, adagio, it's quite serious.
Do you think you can make your hands more wide by training?
Yes, for sure. You know, wider, yeah, for this angle, yes.
You have an enormous range.
Yeah,
from C to
I can
G?
do from C to G, but not like without help. You know, I need a little help from my other fingers.
Well, that helps a lot. If you think about your childhood, was there space for anything different than piano?
There's some space, not a lot, but there is a space. There are sometimes some space that I play Transformers with my friends.
Yeah.
And every day, even though I practice a lot, but every day I watch half an hour cartoons.
I see.
Yeah, I'm a big cartoon fan.
Are you?
And then later also the Asian manga books. You know, you have all those drawing, and then you know you see all those really nice stories. Because I do believe, as a musicians, we need imaginations.
That's true.
And without imagination, nothing happens.
Yeah, that's true.
Because music need to travel somewhere, and without, you know, the imagination, there's no travelings.
Yeah, that's true. I was surprised that you did music for a video game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I would never guess that you would accept such an offer.
I'm a big fan of
technical things?
Yeah, technical things. And particularly, I like to do the car driving games.
I see.
You know, I always like to go to the PlayStation and then, you know, to drive. And so that's why when we won the Gran Turismo 5, the new one, before they came out, they asked me whether I'm interested to play some music for the soundtrack. When they drive, they hear me playing. I said, oh, wow, this is great. This is always nice. You know, when you drive, you hear music. Yeah. And I thought, oh, this is great. So we did.
Do you listen to music when you are driving in your car?
Yes.
Do you have a CD?
Always music. Or radio.
What kind of?
All kinds. I mean,
all kinds of
classical, jazz. Hip-hop. Rock and roll, pop, and opera.
Then it must have been a great experience to play with Herbie Hancock.
Well, absolutely. We are actually making a recording now together.
I see. Yeah. Because he's half a classical musician.
He actually started Mozart concerto when he was 11 with Chicago Symphony, and then somehow he find that he's actually very good with improvisation and composition, you know, so he wanted to do something else.
I was surprised at how many things you do for kids. And it seems to be a kind of your mission.
Yes.
Is it so?
Absolutely. We need in this world, particularly today, we are suffering from the music educations in the public schools and private schools as well for kids. So as a musicians, we cannot always just practice by ourselves. We need to share some of the ideas which brings us into the music world. And we need to share those experiences to the next generation. Otherwise, they will never have chance to listen and to get the knowledge. It's a need to be communicate.
So you have your foundation?
I have my foundation in New York, based in New York. We now have 10 scholars.
10 scholars?
From age 6 to 12. And they're wonderful pianists. So we're mentoring class and also bring them in concert.
I see.
With me playing and with some of my friends from the music circle. And we're also building up a programs with public schools, what we call 100 pianists. So we send, or we have a volunteer teachers to come to the school and to practice with the kids. 4 hands, 1 piano. So, and then after 6 months of session, I come to the city and we perform together as a 100 pianist, 101 actually.
101.
And we perform Schubert.
So 50 pianos?
50 pianos on the stage.
Oh, who's tuning that?
We got a few tuners, and
I guess
they work pretty hard. They probably work harder than us.
But it must be fun. It's quite an extraordinary experience.
It's absolutely great. It's like a piano festival.
I guess so, I think I have never seen you performing from notes. You play everything by heart, always?
Most time, but if it's contemporary music or chamber music, I have scores. But traditional standard repertoire, all by heart.
So how many concertos are nowadays on your hard disk over there?
I think about 40 I can memorize.
40?
40 concertos, I think. And then plus...
That's a lot of music.
Some solo repertoire as well. So.
That's a lot of music, Is there music that would bring tears to your eyes?
Always. There's so many. I mean, I think every great piece has the chance to bring people in, to have tears in their eyes. Every great piece. It just, but as a performer, you need to control. You need to be, you don't control your emotion when you play. But my point is that you can't cry so much when you perform. That will be, you need to put the tears into your playing rather than,
That's right,
to have real tears. I mean, but sometimes if that happens. I had twice really crying really badly. Was once I was playing Chinese music in Lincoln Center in America. And somehow I just feel that it's really emotional, to play, because I mean, most of the time I play classical music, right? And then suddenly you play this very popular Chinese tune, in Lincoln Center with an orchestra. I just feel that, oh wow, this is very emotional. So
what is it like? Could we hear a bit?
Yeah, so that was just really beautiful and kind of very emotional somehow. So I got to cry a little bit. And then once I really hard for me to control my emotion was I was playing the Liszt the Tristan and Isolde by Wagner, the opera, on my English teacher's funeral. So I can't control myself because I think about my teacher, my very close friend of mine, and suddenly he had heart problems and he died, and I was so sad and so emotional. And then so when I performed the piece, I was just can't, I just got really really came out everything. So that's the only 2 times.
Is it true that when you were a kid, you were once expelled from piano lessons because of lack of talent?
Lack of talent regarding to the teacher.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I was thinking if you invited this teacher later on some of your concertos.
I actually did inviting her, and she did came, and she was.
Did she apologize?
No, but
No.
but I think that her action is basically, not apologizing, but to basically saying that now I think you're good, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
sure,
she was
sure.
sitting in the first row, and
Yeah.
I see I see there's some really wonderful expression from her face.
Yeah,
So of course
it's a nice satisfaction.
Fine,
yeah, it's a good satisfaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we think about that, you would stand in front of a trial, and you would be accused of some crime, and the judge would say,
Scary.
Mr. Lang, you can play something on your defense. So what would you play?
I don't think that will work, because if someone is criminal, no matter his greatest musician or his, nobody, or he's the best, whatever, it will not, no matter what you do, it will not forgiven in that moment.
I'm just thinking about what kind of music would
I
be.
will not play. I will, if that's the case, I'm just, leave to the justice.
Okay.
I think that's the best way.
I was thinking about a short example of music for the end of this conversation. What would you suggest?
Maybe since I released the Liszt album this year, so I'll probably play, from my the first piece from my Liszt album, my piano hero Liszt.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is actually called Romance.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for being in our show.
Pleasure.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Dnes byl naším hostem na plovárně Lang Lang.